Canon's next camera is coming, and we know when. But as for what they're about to unveil, well, that's where things get interesting. There are a few strong contenders, and some subtle cues if you know where to look. I'll walk you through the evidence and what it means for photographers, filmmakers, and gearheads alike. And if staying ahead of the camera releases is your kind of thing, do consider subscribing. It doesn't take long to subscribe, and it really does help this channel grow. Well, folks, I'm going to get right to the information. So I was told by a source, and let me make sure I get this correct here. I was told, and this wasn't too long ago, that Canon is going to be announcing a camera in July. That's next month. Now, I did push a little bit further, and I asked, well, what kind of camera? Are we talking about a cinema camera? Are we talking about an EOS R system camera? And I was told that it's going to be an R system camera. And that really helps kind of narrow it down a little bit because, well, if you've been watching this channel for a while, then you definitely know there's a few contenders that certainly fit the bill. One is the R6 Mark III. Now, some publications have said that this camera was due to be announced, well, back in, I think it was Q4 of last year. But then things changed. And then we were looking at, well, sometime, well, in the first quarter and then the second quarter. And now, well, with the end of June coming in, there is still a chance that something could happen in June, but it looks like that first half is definitely out. So the R6 III is definitely due to be announced. But there's also the Canon EOS R7 Mark II. Now we've heard from Canon rumors that this one is going to get the baby R1 treatment, referring to the construction more following in line with how the 7D was in relation to the 5 series or the 1 series, rather than, you know, costing $6,200 or $6,300. Now, the R7 II is going to take a bit more of a, well, a nod to professionals. It's going to provide much better, well, readout speed. So if you're shooting wildlife like birds or sports, anything fast action, we're not going to have to deal with that really terrible rolling shutter, which basically rendered electronic useless for most scenarios. And according to some publications, we've been hearing that the readout speed is going to fall somewhere between the Canon EOS R5's 6.3 millisecond readout speed to the Canon EOS R1's 2.7 millisecond readout speed. And that right there would be pretty impressive. The R7 II is a camera that I would very much like to see. But there is another camera that is, well, been talked about for some time now, and that's the R7V. What is the R7V, you might ask? Well, it's a video-centric version of the R7. And then, of course, there's talk about an R6V. We don't know which one because the sources coming forward haven't really been able to say, sometimes talking about a video-centric version of the R7 Mark II and a video-centric version of the R6 III. Now, either way, that should bode well, as the R50V has done quite well. So what else was I able to gain from this source? Well, I did push a little bit, and when I say push, you don't want to push too far or you'll push a source away. Trying to narrow down exactly when the timing was in July. Obviously, it's not going to be the first week of July, right? Because we had the July 1st, July 4th long weekend, and that week is usually, companies want to stay away from that. And the last week of July, well, we're coming up against other holidays. So the primary weeks for an announcement would be the 2nd and 3rd week of July. Outside of that 2-week period, we got nothing. We don't have the exact date, at least at this point. But all this, as things start to heat up, that will help shake out the rumor tree. Which camera are we going to get? Well, we don't really know. In other publications, like I've said, they've hinted at any number of these cameras. Some said all 4. Others have narrowed it down, suggesting it could be one or the other. Now, if we do get an R6 Mark III, I wouldn't be too surprised if we get the R6V at the same time. If we get the R7V or the R7 Mark II, then maybe the R7V. It's really hard to say. Now, Canon could do an announcement where they announce both the R6 III and the R7 II. I mean, the R7 Mark I didn't get announced by itself. It got announced alongside the R10. And the R6, the original, well, it got announced alongside the Canon EOS R5, the Mark I, back on July the 10th of 2020. So hopefully this video does help shake the rumor tree. For a minute there, I thought that might be more information. So I wouldn't be surprised if we hear more information in the coming weeks, especially if a mid-July announcement is imminent. I wouldn't be surprised indeed if over the next coming days we'll have an update to this story. Now, I could go on ranting and telling you a little bit more about some of the information I've got on this, but you know what? It's too much conjecture at this point, so I'm going to save that for a behind-the-scenes video for those insider members. And if you're interested in being the 1% of the 1% that wants to know what goes on behind the scenes and what it's like developing sources, then go ahead and click that join button and consider joining that insider membership level. It's very much appreciated, but don't feel you have to. Once I have confirmation and some validation, I'll be out with another video shortly, because after all, if I wait too long, then I risk somebody else scooping the story. Thank you so much for tuning in, so much for watching. Have yourself a great day, and we'll see you again soon.